Over the years, I have visited 4 of the sites of relocation camps. Tule Lake in Northern California, where I made a pilgrimage in 2008, Manzanar near Owens Valley in California, Heart Mountain in Wyoming, and Amache in Colorado. At the time of my visits, all had little more than the remaining concrete foundations, with perhaps a minor memorial. Beginning in 2006, federal monies were allocated to establish information centers at a number of the relocation campsites as a way of preserving lessons learned, and some now have established facilities for this purpose. For Amache, I made a pilgrimage back to southeastern Colorado in 1993, when Barbara and I were in Boulder for the graduation of our daughter from the University of Colorado. Here's what we found in '93. My daughter, the recent graduate, and this is my son, and the redhead is my daughter's best friend from childhood. You can see the foundations of one of the barracks. And this is the memorial to the 31 Amache Nisei who were killed in action. I'd like to close with several personal thoughts. In preparing this talk initially, a little over 7 years ago, I gave a trial run-through to my extended family in Eugene, and my daughter-in-law asked me the question, "Do you really believe this was a bright and shining moment?" I said yes, and here was my reasoning. For my government to admit to making a mistake of this magnitude and to formally apologize for it publicly was quite remarkable. Something like this is unheard of, or at best, rarely happens, which makes it all the more significant how things eventually worked out. Personally, it was a vindication of my belief in my country and our system of government. But there's a more important reason. It's because of what it did for the Issei and Nisei and the greater Japanese community. The joy, appreciation, and especially relief in receiving the apology, felt by the Japanese elders in particular, was unprecedented. For all the anger, disappointments, and sense of betrayal they held within, it was a vindication that for all those years they weren't wrong or unpatriotic. For my mom, receiving the apology was one of the happiest days of her life. So yes, it was a bright and shining moment in our American story. And now, that said, I want to make it clear that I in no way diminish or excuse the tragedy of the evacuation and internment. It was illegal and unconstitutional, was ethically wrong based on racial prejudice, and was perpetrated on a lie that there was a military necessity for it. My parents paid an inordinate emotional, psychological, and financial price for their camp experience. And yet, they persevered and held their heads up and always moved forward. They could have filled our home with anger, resentment, and all sorts of attitude, but they didn't. Instead, they gave me a deep appreciation for family, a profound love of country, and a strong moral sensibility. I value fair play and equality and justice before the law, and these I attribute to them. I am who I am today because of the legacy they passed on to me out of my family's experiences arising out of Camp Amache. In closing, let me thank you for allowing me to share this personal chapter of our American story.